Generic yet polite salutations to one and all. This is Trent Mayfair coming to you from the place where I first started this trip. Yes, that's right, I am back at home. And that means that I'm actually going to be doing something here that you very rarely see on YouTube channels, which is I'm recording the final video. Now, before I get into this, allow me to give my apologies to a couple of things. Number one, there were a number of people that I did piss off on this trip, and I do profusely apologize to them. Unless, it was a legitimate reason for me to actually act that way, in which case I'm not sorry. But I do also need to give an apology to Dystopia Rising Florida because I kind of goofed on the scheduling, let's put it that way, and ended up going to The Last Bastion the same week that Dystopia Rising was running. I thought Dystopia Rising was going to be the following weekend, and suffice to say, I spent a good chunk of time basically just working on some of my own projects, collecting a lot of my thoughts, writing down a lot of things for my own purposes. But as a result, I only got 17 LARPs in on this trip as opposed to 18. I've learned a lot on this trip. It's been an amazing experience. I do highly encourage anybody and everybody to travel when and where they can. Meet some new people, make some new friends. New perspectives are always an important thing. But the takeaway that I have from this trip is that I am capable of doing a lot of things, and I do believe that I actually am capable of running my own LARP. And so for the next year, that is going to be where my goals lie. And I'm going to be taking everything that I learned on this trip, and I am going to be eventually starting up my own LARP. So hopefully I'll get to see you all there. But before I actually go and say goodbye, I am a bard. I have to sing one last song for this channel, and unfortunately, the creepy bard is sick, as is his apprentice, so I have to do this one solo. So, it took me a long time to figure out what I should do as an appropriate song for this trip, especially as finale song. And there were a lot that came across my plate. I could have just, gone bass and done a dirty song for this, leave everybody with a laugh and what have you. But that really, I feel, didn't convey the gravitas of how important this trip was to me and how important the people that I've met on this trip have been to me. So, after any number of rejecting of songs in order to try and find this perfect one, I did finally come across the perfect one while I was driving home just a little bit before Christmas and listening to the oldie station, and this one came on, and quite honestly, I can think of no better way to sum up this trip than with the words of Louis Armstrong. I see trees of green, red roses too, they seem to bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow shining in the sky are also reflected on the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? What they're really saying is, I love you. I hear babies crying, and I watch them grow. They'll learn more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, What a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you all for joining me on this trip. It truly means a lot to me. And I do hope that the friendships that we have made as I have done this traveling will last forever. Until next time, if there is ever a next time, I will see you then.